So as we know, Donald Trump met with Putin of Russia about 2 weeks ago, and hopefully, please God, again, our hopes that there will be an end to the conflict pretty soon. Please God, there will. Because far too many, and this is the position of the Irish people, that far too many people have been killed. And we still remember about Gaza, of course, and what's happening over there. But far too many people have been killed in Europe in terms of Ukraine and Russia. Far too many people are dying, and far too many people were displaced by the war. And we need to put a stop to it because it's not benefiting anybody. There's too many people going to their deaths, and it's simple as that, and particularly young people, young men in the 18, 20, the whole life's ahead of them, and we're sending them off to be pretty much be slaughtered, on both sides pretty much. The casualties are enormous on both sides. But I just want to talk about peace. If peace, please God, will be restored, that most likely there will be United Nations peacekeeping missions. Well, maybe that most likely there will be if there is a peace settlement. For example, if Ukraine has to give up land or whatever it's going to happen in terms of that, that's very complicated. We're not going to go into all that. But what I'm trying to say, if there does come to be peace, and say, for example, there's a demilitarized zone or exclusion zone, what I mean by that is kind of a zone where no country owns the Ukraine or Russia, but there is, say, for example, Irish peacekeepers, Austrian peacekeepers, neutral countries, Ireland is a neutral country, so we're not aligned to NATO or to Russia or to any other country. We're aligned to peace, and that's the thing. We're aligned to God, I suppose, in a way, too, by wanting to pursue peace. Ireland is, as you know, one of them has served the majority of the time as United Nations peacekeeping country. One way with that is we nearly have 60 years of doing it, more than nearly any other country nearly in Europe, of upholding peace and trying to bring stability and reconciliation between people. Ireland has done a lot in that regard, and I do think we could do a lot more to help too in terms of this situation when peace is restored, in terms of keeping the peace, making sure it will not happen again. What I mean by that is demilitarised zones so the two sides can't get at each other to fight. But of course, as Russia has said many, many times, that they will not allow NATO troops, to, for example, Norway or Sweden, into Ukraine. Even the demilitarised zone, they won't allow that. So I presume they would allow probably neutral countries that have no benefit to any side because we're neutral, and we have not to do with any side. We don't take sides. We're in the middle, and that's what Ireland's position was in the middle. We're on the side of humanity, the side of peace. As I said many, many times before, you probably have heard me say it many, many times, that the conflict in Northern Ireland, take for example, war achieves nothing, and that's the Irish people's position, that war achieves nothing. It just causes more suffering, more pain. That's a simple stat. It doesn't achieve anything. There's no greatness. There's no honour in war. It's just slaughter, and it's just suffering and it's pain. Um, and I thought we left that in the past, but unfortunately, it's the reality. But that's what I'm saying. We have to end it. We hopefully, please God, it will end. Please God. Um, but again, it's about keeping the peace. If peace is restored, we have to try and keep it. We don't want it to happen 5 minutes later, that it erupts again. We don't want that to happen. So hopefully, first of all, there will be a peace settlement. Please God. But then again, there's the after the peace. We have to sort out all that, and that's going to be something. But I do think Ireland should have a role in that. I know a lot of people have been saying, should it be, say for example, other countries outside of Europe that doesn't have benefit in Europe, in terms of South American countries. I heard some people saying we should send South American countries to do in the middle, I suppose, of the, say for example, demilitarized zone. We don't even know will that happen. Will that not happen? We don't know. But if there was, say for example, but I do think Ireland should have a very central role in this, in terms of Austria and then Switzerland too, neutral countries, in terms of trying to keep the peace, trying to keep both sides away. If that, if take for example, peace is achieved, I do think that should be the position of Ireland. But let me know what you think, because we do have to play a role too. Because obviously we're in Europe and stuff like that, and we don't want to see conflicts anywhere, let alone in Europe or the Middle East or in Asia or wherever it may be. Ireland doesn't want, the Irish people don't want to see a conflict anywhere. We don't want to see people being killed, children being killed, people suffering. We don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it, and I think the Irish people know. And the one thing, more than any other part of the world we know, Irish people know suffering. Throughout our history, suffered hugely. And we don't want that. And it shouldn't happen in the modern world. It really, really shouldn't. And I do think it's particularly because it is in Europe too. We have a obligation too to try and keep the peace. If it does, if there is a peace settlement, I do think it's Ireland's obligation, along with other neutral countries, to keep the peace as much as humanly possible, and to prevent any more conflicts from starting. But let me know what you think. That's just my opinion. I do think we should have, if the United Nations sanction it, I don't think we should just send our troops over there tomorrow morning without authorization from the United Nations or an organised structure in terms of peacekeeping. We have to kind of go in with an organised structure in terms of, say, for example, Ireland goes in the morning to keep the peace. We would have to have the Austrians or the Swiss with us in terms of being an organised unit in terms of that, because Ireland couldn't do it alone. It's a very big border, etc., etc. It couldn't be done. But it has to be looked at, of course. But we have to get peace first before we can achieve that. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.